Welcome to this deep dive. I'm a social scientist, and the work we're discussing today, my research, it's really rooted in looking closely at everyday life. Small things, daily observations.
Exactly. And we take those sort of real-time insights and combine them with my background in sociocultural psychology. It's about analyzing the phenomena of just living.
Right. And our mission here, really, it's centered on you, the listener.
Yes. I want to offer some maybe small inspirations
Okay.
and definitely practical tips, tools, I guess, that can help you upgrade your own psychological toolkit, help you fight those behavioral patterns that might be holding you back.
The aim is really for you to move through the world with a bit more ease, maybe feel a stronger sense of control, and ultimately realize your own value more fully.
And hopefully create a really supportive, happy environment for yourself first, but also for the people around you.
So today we're diving into my perspective on happiness, what it is, and how I see it connecting to, well, success out in the world, and also the very practical side of habits.
Okay, so let's start with happiness itself. In my research model, I don't see happiness as like a finish line. It's not a destination you arrive at.
Hmm. So not the big promotion or the final goal achieved.
Exactly. I believe real happiness happens in the process. It's occurring, or it should be occurring, in real time, moment by moment, not just when you finally get the thing you wanted.
That feels significant, because if happiness is tied only to reaching a goal, well, that outcome is never guaranteed, is it? Life happens.
Precisely. Goal achievement is uncertain, but the process, the actual living, the effort you put in, the experience itself that's happening right now, that part is certain.
So focusing on that process actually reduces the anxiety about whether you'll make it or not.
That's the idea. Process-focused happiness gives you something solid, something certain right now. The outcome, well, that's less certain. It takes the pressure off a little.
Okay, but I can hear some people thinking, that sounds maybe a bit abstract,
Mhm.
idealistic.
And that's fair. It's definitely an ideal. And my research, it wouldn't be honest if it didn't acknowledge reality's complexity. So yes, while focusing on the process is the ideal, happiness actually seems to come from two distinct and necessary sources.
Ah, okay, so it's not just the process then.
No.
Hmm.
The first source is the process. And that's purely subjective. It's that internal feeling you get from just experiencing life moment to moment. This is the bit that often gets overlooked, I find, or maybe dismissed as just thinking positive.
Right, the inner state and the second source.
The second is the result. This is objective. It's external. It's that tangible feeling of accomplishment, of competence, that sense of control you get when you actually meet a goal.
That one feels more intuitive, maybe?
Uh,
Like, society definitely recognizes achieving things.
Absolutely. It's more easily measured, more visible. So since that subjective process part is harder to pin down, I've worked on ways to make it more concrete.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Make an internal feeling concrete.
Well, I recommend actively hacking it, you could say, by applying gratitude, but in a very structured, conscious way. It's not just feeling vaguely thankful, it's analytical.
Okay, analytical gratitude. And you mentioned something about self-brainwashing in your work. That sounds intense.
Huh. Yes, it probably does sound intense. But I don't mean it in a manipulative way. It's more like cognitive restructuring. You're using a specific analytical frame to consciously shift your focus, to see the positive foundation, the platform that exists even in difficult situations.
Can you give an example of that using this formula?
Sure. Let's take work. Maybe it's stressful, maybe deadlines are tough. Instead of dwelling only on that, I'd analyze it like this. I am grateful for my work. Why? Because it gives me a stable platform. A platform for what? To pass the time productively, to potentially show my talents, and importantly, to connect with colleagues.
Ah, I see. So even if the job itself isn't perfect, or you dislike certain tasks.
Exactly. You consciously appreciate the platform it provides, the stability, maybe the chance to learn something, the social aspect. You shift focus from the immediate frustration to the underlying structure.
And you believe this conscious analysis actually changes your subjective experience.
Well, my analysis suggests that because happiness is fundamentally subjective, it's a feeling generated inside us, if we can successfully restructure how we frame our experience, we can genuinely increase our baseline happiness. That conscious analysis is the psychological mechanism at work. It's a tool.
Okay, that makes sense for the internal side.
Yeah.
But you also said there are two sources. We can't just ignore the external, right?
Absolutely not. And this is crucial. We have to emphasize this. We don't live in a vacuum. We're social creatures. We live in societies. And frankly, you just can't escape social evaluation entirely or the need for some external validation.
So feeling good inside isn't quite enough on its own.
It's essential, but my findings show a clear positive correlation. Objective success, real-world achievement, things that society tends to recognize, these significantly boost subjective happiness too. We seem to need that feedback loop.
Right. And achieving that kind of, as you call it, secular success, tangible results, that takes real work, doesn't it?
It does. It requires genuine, sustained effort. And that effort needs to be reliable, systematic somehow, repeatable. Which brings us directly, logically, to the importance of habits in my research model.
Habits. Okay, so if we want those external results, that excellence,
Yeah.
we need good habits.
That's the mechanism, yes.
Hmm.
What else do we rely on for consistent action towards goals? It boils down to habits.
Now, habits often feel automatic,
Hmm.
maybe even unconscious, like something you just have or don't have.
Yeah, it's a common perception, yeah. They can feel innate or ethereal, but the core argument I'm making is that their formation, how they start, is actually controllable. We can build them through conscious training.
It's training. So they might end up feeling automatic, but they don't start that way.
Precisely. They become unconscious later, perhaps, but the beginning is absolutely within our conscious grasp, which leads us to the mechanism for change, what I call the training loop.
Okay, the training loop, what's the first step?
The first step is everything. It's
Yeah.
the key, the absolute foundation. It's awareness.
Awareness, just
Yeah.
noticing things. But based on my own attempts, trying to be constantly aware of every little thought or action. Isn't that incredibly draining? It sounds exhausting.
That's a really important point and a common reaction. Awareness in this model doesn't mean achieving perfection or constantly beating yourself up. It just means living awake.
Awake.
Yeah, consciously monitoring, just observing your own behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings as they happen in the present moment, just long enough to collect the data, you know? You're basically acting as your own objective observer for a second.
Okay, collect the data. So let's say I notice I just spent like 45 minutes scrolling on my phone when I was meant to be working on something important. I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Now what?
Great, you captured the data point. The next step, immediately after awareness, is subjecting that observation to rational analysis. This is step 2, and this is where it gets maybe a bit more structured than typical self-help advice.
Rational analysis, not
Yeah.
just feeling bad about
No,
it.
not just guilt. It's a comprehensive review, thinking long-term and using 4 specific dimensions to structure the analysis.
Okay, 4 dimensions. You mentioned time, morality, psychology, and reality. Can you walk us through how that works with the procrastination example? How do I analyze scrolling on my phone using those?
Definitely. Let's break down that phone procrastination.
Time. You ask yourself, okay, what's the real long-term cost here? If I do this every day, this 45-minute detour for the next year, what does my career look like? My project completion, my stress levels? It forces you to visualize the compounded impact.
Oof. Okay. Yeah, that makes a small slip feel bigger when you project it out. What about the second one, morality? How does that apply?
Morality isn't about judging yourself harshly, but about integrity. You ask, how does this action affect my commitments, my relationships, my own sense of self? By delaying work that maybe affects my team or my clients, am I acting like the reliable, professional person I want to be or claim to be? It checks alignment with your own values.
So it connects the behavior to your ideal self, ethically. Okay. Third, psychology.
Psychology looks inward. What was the feeling I was chasing when I reached for the phone? Was I trying to avoid the discomfort of the difficult task, seeking a quick dopamine hit, a distraction? And crucially, how did I feel after those 45 minutes? Did the avoidance actually make me feel better long-term, or did it just increase my stress or shame later? It clarifies the faulty reward mechanism.
Right. Understanding the immediate urge versus the actual consequence. And the last one, reality. That sounds straightforward.
It's the pragmatic check, yes. Reality asks, did this action, scrolling the phone, objectively get me closer to my goals? Is this a realistic path towards the excellence or the results I say I want? It's kind of the blunt, no-nonsense filter. This whole analysis across all 4 dimensions really clarifies the ideal self and the specific behaviors needed. It makes the desired habit concrete.
And doing that analysis, you're saying that's where failure actually helps. If I notice the procrastination and analyze it, that's somehow progress.
Yeah, that's exactly it in my research model.
Yeah.
If you become aware that an action like the procrastination didn't align with your analyzed ideal self,
Yeah.
you haven't truly failed. You've actually moved closer to your goal.
By messing up.
Because by taking that moment for rational analysis,
Yeah.
by recognizing what you don't want, what doesn't align,
Uh-huh.
you sharpen the definition of what you do want.
Yeah.
You clarify the target. That recognition is progress. It's learning.
Okay, that reframes it significantly, and
Yeah.
that leads to self-reward.
Absolutely crucial. The next phase is encouraging and rewarding yourself. But what are you rewarding? Not the failure, obviously. You reward the awareness and the successful completion of the analysis.
So just noticing it and thinking it through using those dimensions, that's the win you celebrate.
That is the significant success right there. That's the critical first step in the training loop being executed correctly. Rewarding that moment, maybe just a mental, okay, good job noticing that and figuring it out, makes it more likely you'll achieve awareness next time the impulse hits. You're reinforcing the observer role.
Okay, let's make this even more concrete. Emotional regulation, that's a tough one for many people. How does the loop apply there? Say I get a really annoying email.
Right. So awareness. You feel the heat rise,
Yeah.
the immediate urge to type back an angry reply. You notice that reactive impulse.
Step 1, check. Then, analysis.
Quick rational analysis. Firing back emotionally violates your goal of maintaining professional calm. Time morality. Likely won't solve the problem. Reality. And will probably leave you feeling worse later. Psychology. Okay, so the ideal action is not this reactive reply.
So then the conscious intervention comes in.
Exactly. You consciously decide, I will shift my attention. Right now. Stand up, walk away, make tea, look out the window, anything other than hitting reply immediately.
And if I manage that, if I just pause for 5 minutes instead of replying instantly.
That is a huge success. Even if you still feel annoyed, even if you only delayed it briefly. The success was in the awareness, the analysis, and the conscious intervention. That's the rep you just completed in your training. Reward that.
Okay. And physical health. Say, late night snacking.
Same pattern. Awareness, observe the trigger. Maybe it's settling down to watch a specific show that always leads to snacking. You identify the pattern and the likely discomfort later. Poor sleep, feeling sluggish. Analysis, this doesn't align with health goals. Time reality, makes me feel guilty.
So next time you sit down for that show.
Being aware beforehand that the urge is likely coming. That awareness is step 1. Then the conscious intervention. Okay, I know this pattern. Tonight I'll have herbal tea instead. Or I'll watch for only 1 hour. Persuading yourself to interrupt the pattern, even slightly, is a massive leap. You're building a library of successful interventions.
It sounds like it's about accumulating these tiny wins, these conscious moments.
That's precisely it. Through repeating these conscious efforts, identifying the gap between action and ideal, coaching yourself through that quick analysis, rewarding the awareness and the intervention, and eventually, more often, acting on the ideal pattern, the new behavior starts to feel easier, less like a fight.
It becomes more second nature.
Exactly. You slowly stop needing so much willpower to fight the old urge because the new pathway is getting stronger.
Which links back to your goal for us, the listener, achieving a kind of effortless living.
Yes, that accumulation is the whole point, which leads me to my ultimate definition of a habit based on this training model.
Okay, what is it?
A habit is simply something that can be achieved without putting in much effort. So if I can successfully transform my ideal behaviors, the ones I identified, through that conscious awareness and analysis into habits, through this repeated conscious training,
Then you start achieving your goals almost automatically.
almost effortlessly, yes.
Why?
Through the steady day-by-day accumulation of these small, positive, eventually automated patterns. That's how secular success becomes more attainable without constant struggle.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, I've shared my perspective, this dual view. Happiness as subjective, focusing on the process, driven internally.
While also acknowledging the necessity of objective, result-focused, externally validated success. The two work together.
And crucially, we've outlined a concrete method I propose for bridging that gap and achieving success, this idea of conscious habit training.
Which, and I can't stress this enough, always begins with that foundational step, cultivating profound awareness. That's the engine.
So I suppose the final thought I want to leave you, the listener, with today, drawing from all this research, is this. Big goals, the really meaningful ones, they can't be rushed. They really do require slow, patient, long-term accumulation.
Little by little.
Right. So to live more peacefully, to gain that sense of mastery over your life, the core skill to cultivate is your ability to be aware, to notice the small, moment-to-moment details, the choices, the impulses, and then slowly, intentionally train those desired actions into habits.
And, if any part of this sharing today really resonated, Maybe the idea of self-brainwashing is cognitive restructuring, or the 4 dimensions of analysis, or just the focus on awareness. I genuinely welcome your thoughts, your
Yeah,
feedback.
you share them.
It helps us build this supportive community and maybe helps other listeners figure out how to upgrade their own skills and successfully manage their own personal challenges. I really hope my perspective today has offered some valuable tools for you.